Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Show live, eventually live. We're just so late, we thought we'd play the theme tune twice. Why not? Why not? It caught me out. You could tell we were in a rush. It caught me out. I didn't tick the little box. There you go. I'll learn eventually. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. I'm Stephen Browne. With me, as ever, Jayson Booker. Little bit later than planned, so thank you for sticking around. We'll be on for the next hour or so, chatting all things Leeds United. Jayson, it's very close now. We're nearly there. It almost feels surreal. I can't believe that we're actually almost at the start of the season because it feels so far away. Obviously, when you finish that final game, a lot's happened. It's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but what are you thinking now? Are you looking forward to it? Are you pessimistic, optimistic? Where's your head at with it?
First off, imagine life getting in the way of a stream, right?
I imagine. I know, it's disgraceful, isn't it?
Disgrace.
Where's my priorities?
Maybe I'll take it full time, don't we, mate? But most of this work stuff. You know what, mate? I almost can't believe we're here. Like, I can't believe we're only a few days away from the start of the season. It feels a bit surreal. It feels like we're going into Sunday and it's another pre-season game.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
And
I think like there's a combination of things that have kind of added to that. Obviously, the disappointment of relegation, the change of management, the change in ownerships. I think the lack of transfer deals have made it feel like it's come too soon. I think that's part of it. Yeah, it feels really, really surreal that it's now here and we're having to like gear up to actual competitive football. But you know what? Overall, I'm not going to say I'm optimistic.
Oh,
Brownie, what are you doing?
I don't know. Just burst back in then. End of stream. That's it. That's the outro. Bye-bye.
Oh my word!
Sorry,
no, it's okay. It's okay. I don't feel optimistic, but I'm looking forward to it. That's how I now feel. Like I'm looking forward to getting the season starting and watching the team play again. Like ultimately, that's what we all look forward to in it. It's hopefully seeing this team win and playing some football games. So like you know, I can't really subscribing to being too optimistic with the position that we're going into the season with. We've seen some bits in pre-season that we can get, optimistic about, but I think it's a much bigger picture, 46 game season, all the things that we'll probably talk about today going into the season. I think there's just still so much to do. I think the team will look very different come the end of August to what it looks like now. That's what I will say.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're watching, please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in. How are you feeling about this upcoming season? I think you summed it up really well there, to be honest, Jase. It has been surreal because although it's obviously a good break in a sense, it almost, part of me thinks, is it quite long enough with the state the squad's in and the lack of transfers and also dealing with that hangover effect from relegation as well. It's not a pretty sight. So there's a lot going on at the moment. I mean, the last two pre-season games we had, it was a marked improvement, I think, from what we'd seen kind of earlier on. Obviously, we beat Hearts. We can use that as kind of a starting point. What did you make of that Hearts game?
What I saw of it, I didn't watch the full 90, truthfully. You seen Kevin's there? It made me smirk as well. You can stay, Kevin. I don't mind the ones on my own, but I'd much rather have Brownie alongside me. The Hearts before. I mean, first off, we need to deal with it with a bit of context because I thought Hearts were terrible from what I've seen and then heard as well. And, the SPL is what it is. I would say Hearts would probably struggle in the Championship. That's where I'd probably put them, towards the bottom six in this division. So I don't think we can get too giddy about it, but I was really impressed with the Forest performance. Against pretty much their full first team, really. Like, they might have been a little bit further behind in pre-season, and I can get that. And I also think that Forest will really struggle this season. Me and you were talking about it while the game were on, and Forest they're really poor. Like, they were poor last season. God, I forget the manager's name now. Just dropped out of my head.
Cooper.
I'm tired. Steve Cooper. He managed to find a recipe to get them to get points, but they were never good. The 2 games that we played against them, they were so poor, and we saw them throughout the season look really poor. They just got it together towards the end of the season. Fair play, they deserved to stay up, but I think if either us or Leicester had really got ourselves together, I think they'd have been in real trouble. So again, we need to deal with it with a bit of context, but our performance, the way that we showed that we wanted to play, the confidence to put a foot on the ball and play out from the back, and we dictated pretty much all of the play. We never looked under threat. We could have scored more goals in both games. I think you've got to be happy with it as it is. The display itself, taking away the context, I guess. So I think we go into it in the best form that we possibly can, given the hangover from last season, the turnover of players, and then back-to-back wins with 2 clean sheets. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like these last couple of pre-season games have really kind of not changed my expectations, but made me feel more optimistic, more hopeful about what we're seeing, because there seems to be a real style of play. You can see what they're trying to do. Having possession, it's nice to see us keep the ball. I mean, last season under Marsh and then Allardyce and have it was just, you barely touched the football. So it was really nice just seeing us have the ball. Whether that translates fully to games, you don't know, but hopefully it will do.
I thought Coops' comments were really eye-opening this week. I mean, away from the, if you don't want to be a F-off comment, his comment about that when they came in, they'd forgotten how to play with the ball, and it took them a period of time to get back into it. It's why you can't be so quick to discredit, especially some of the players that were here before Jesse Marsh. You can't be too quick to discredit them, because we've discussed this before, like coming into work and the workplace being a poor environment to be involved in. These are just human beings that are trying to do as they're told, and if the message from above is that bad and making them look that bad, then it can then transpire into what we see on the pitch. And as football fans, rightly, we then just blame the player. We blame what we see. We blame, why can't they pass the ball anymore? Why are they defending like that? Whatever it might be. And the facts are is that it's clear that it was badly coached for 18 months. It just was. And that's not defending Bielsa. That we can argue until the cows come home, can't we, about whether it was time for Bielsa to go or not, and whether he should change and all the rest of it. But the facts are is they were coached to an expertise level, and then it disappeared. Fitness disappeared. We saw it. We saw it from in front of us very eyes. So,
we did.
For me, it's nice to see, and I would much rather, go into it with a style and an idea that is designed to win games and fail, than going with no approach and kamikaze approach and still fail miserably, because eventually what will happen is the confidence will be drained so far from you that you end up going in reverse. It's been really, really nice to see this pre-season, and I hope it translates into the championship in a good way. And again, from what we've seen in history with Farker and Norwich, it will. So,
Do you think he's impressed with what he's found at the club in a lot of ways? I mean, if you look at Archie Gray as an example, who is this kid who's kind of been on the fringes of the first team for a while, very young, only 17 years of age, but is he someone that Farker has got to the club and looked at and gone, bloody hell, you've got a really, really... I mean, for me, he looks so comfortable in that midfield already, his intelligence. And there's a few bits of naivety or whatever you want to call it, but he looks levels above. I mean, do you think Farker's actually been kind of impressed with what he's seen, especially the young players as well? I mean, if you look at Cresswell, who 8 months ago we were trying to get rid of apparently in January transfer, which I could not believe at the time we were even on about getting rid of him. But now he's got the number 5 shirt, he's got a new contract. I mean, do you think he's looking at some of those youngsters in particular and going, actually, this is not a bad squad to work with?
I think he probably knew that before he came through the door. I think it was probably part of the planning. I think we're very quick to get frustrated with the lack of transfer activity. I've been part of it myself, and I wish it'd have happened a bit quicker and we'd have seen more incomings and all the rest of it. But I think a lot of it is dictated by the Premier League registrations is one thing, because you don't know who are going to be part of the squads to then allow frees up the transfers to go out, or even the loans. And I think a lot of it is also dictated by who will be here.
Yeah.
So I think if we knew now concretely that Jack Harrison and Nonto are both gone, let's just say for instance, I think Leeds and the board and the management team would be in a far better position to be able to say, right, okay, we can now move on X, Y, and Z player. Yeah, and I think, Verber's a bit of an example of that as well. I think Verber was intended to stay, so we didn't need a centre-back. Verber has now gone, so we now can move on a centre-back. And I think it's very much like that. And I think when Farke came in, I think he probably knew the crop of youth that we had here and the potential that they could then bring to the squad. And, if Charlie Cresswell, as an example, didn't play for Leeds United, bear in mind he was on loan in the Championship last season towards the top end, and we signed him, we'd be saying that's a really smart move. 20-year-old, England under 21 international, great move. But because he's come back off loan, it kind of feels like he was our player anyway, which of course he was, but he's now an addition to the playing squad because he wasn't going to play last season. So, and I think there's other players like that as well. Like if Shackleton's not a great example of it, but if we were to have signed Jamie Shackleton as a squad player, you'd say, okay, versatile, utility player. He's not going to play 46 games, but he could certainly fill in when others... You wouldn't be like, no, he's not good enough for the Championship. Do you get where I'm coming from? So there's these players. Drame is another one. Like if we'd have gone out and signed Cody Drame this summer for this coming season, we'd all be like, nice one. We've got a fullback that's just played unbelievably well for 2 years in a row in the Championship. Yeah. So Dan James is another one. No, ex-Man United, if we'd have just signed him this summer, we'd say ex-Man United, played Premier League football last season at Fulham. He ripped up the Championship a few years ago, but we remember Dan James playing up front as a striker for Leeds United, and we just think, terrible player. Yeah. But he's another player that comes back in as a fresh face, really. Yeah. So when you put all that into context, the squad is probably in a healthier position than maybe we first thought when we were starting to think about how the squad's going to look for the start of the new season.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Does a lot of that make sense?
Yeah, no, it really does actually, because I think it's perceptions, isn't it? Perceptions on the team, and I think also, I know Cresswell has come out and he's been talking about how much it means to play for the club and everything like that. But you believe it with someone like him.
Of course,
you believe it when it's a homegrown player. I just think they have the edge somehow, rather than what's happened with Verber as an example this week. Fergal, thanks for your comment. If Ampadu continues as he started and nobody buys Cine, fingers crossed, a lot of teams will be very afraid of United. Disabled team, hi Jason, Browne, I hope you're both well. Hello, thank you, and thanks Jason as well, covering last week when I was
no problem
puking up my guts, which was a lovely sight, as you can imagine, when I was supposed to be decorating. Lovely. So
just on Cine.
Yes.
I mean, if he does stay, he will, for me, be the best player that's ever played in the Championship. I know this has kind of got mentioned a few times in the Leeds sphere, but like he's that good. We kind of tarnish him a little bit because he's been so injury prone. I mean, he is made out of biscuits, but he's technically so much better than anything you're going to see at this level. He will, because he's in his prime as well, really. Yeah, I think he's 25?
24, yeah.
25, He will, without a doubt, for me, be the best player that's ever played in the Championship. It's only his injury record that stops him from being in the top 14.
Well, there was a bit where the ball came to him. I think it might have been set up for either a goal in the Forest game or the Hearts moment. And the way he slowed down everything and didn't panic, and you just watched it, and you're like, wow, it's just it was such a simple thing to do, but it was just that class. You just thought nobody else does that at this level. Nobody else can do that.
No, you're right. There's two things with him, unfortunately. One is that if he stays fit between now and the end of August, he'll probably go, because I can imagine that a team will take a chance with him. Yeah. And if he doesn't stay fit in between now and the end of August, the likelihood is that he will only play 25 out of the 46 games because he's going to be injured for a fair chunk of it. So either eventuality with him, I think, is going to be a problem.
Yeah, he's one of them as well. He can go at any time, get an injury, can't he? Looks as if at any more, even if he looks comfortable, and it's going to go.
But what I will say is 20 to 25 games of the championship season, he's going to be a match winner for you. So if we can keep him even for half the games, I think it'd probably be worth it. I can imagine like the end of the year, if we were, fourth or whatever, and he were fit for the last 2 or 3 months, it'd be the kind of player that carry you over the line and win you the league. Like, he's that good.
Well, you'd hope as well. I mean, if he goes, we've only got 1 slot left for an international loan. You would hope if we end up selling domestically or him abroad, hopefully we'd get a good fee for someone like that. I mean, there's only 1 more that can jump ship now. And I think it's almost been like a good weeding out process, hasn't it, really?
Like, 100%.
Linked to what Cooper said, you don't want to be here. You know where the doors are.
I think he's the stipulation around him with him being non-EU is definitely playing a factor, because if you're a European club and you're signing, you can only sign 2 non-EU players because he's Colombian. You're putting a massive risk in a player that could potentially be injured for half the year. So you're then ruling out a massive pool of players that you can pick from in non-EU for somebody that's going to actually be injured for 4 of the 8 months of the year or whatever. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. Kevin, thank you very much for this. I'm surprised your channel doesn't have loads more of subscribers. I watch a lot of Leeds content creators on here. A lot of it, Dross, yours is very interesting. Oh, we appreciate that, mate. As long as you're subscribed, that's all I care about. Don't worry about that. And I have to agree, Disabled Team. Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
We have actually got a big show this Thursday as well. So we're opening the net a little bit wider. We're going to be looking across the region. We do our big season preview. So we're going to be chatting Huddersfield Town, Bradford City as well. So it's going to be fireworks as always. Have you got your punching gloves ready, Jason? There's going to be some shots coming our way, isn't there?
What with bloody Huddersfield fans, man.
And one in particular.
Yeah, I love him a bit. I do love him a bit. But I just Town, man. They just do that.
Exactly. Yes. So as Fergal mentioned, Ampadu, this guy, I'm already getting worried about him getting injured or something as well, because he is just looking so smooth. The kind of signing where if we'd have taken him last year, you'd have gone very good. How key is that going to be going forward, and what do you do if he gets injured? I mean, where do you even look to then in the squad, really?
Don't you think that he's a better replacement for Calvin Phillips than Tyler Adams was? Like he's so much more. Like, I'm not disregarding Tyler's qualities. Like, for me, he's probably one of the best in the world at tackling and breaking up play. But aside from that, he's not got. I don't want to say he's not got much else, because that makes him sound like a terrible footballer. He can still dribble fine. He can still
keeps it simple, doesn't he?
I
like how simple he keeps it. Yeah, he
certainly holds a role. Like, I can totally imagine him doing that destroyer role in many top teams. Like, I can totally and utterly see him, getting a big move and looking a great player. I think he's a great player. But in terms of everything that Calvin brought, certainly the way that he carried the ball and his distribution, Ampadu looks so much more, able and close to what we had as a full package as Calvin. I'm so impressed with Ampadu. I cannot believe he's playing in the Championship. And it for me, it just shows what Nick Hammond and the 49ers are about. Like, that shows aggression. And, a lot of people have said this aggressive transfer market and put, well, you're not signing anybody. Well, you know what? We've probably made the best signing in the Championship this window in Ethan Ampadu. 22-year-old, his future potential, his resale value is through the roof. If he has a good season, we've got a 20-25 million pound centre midfielder on his hands, maybe even more. He's got so much experience. He's a Wales international. There's just so much to love about him, and his actual ability on the pitch, like the way that he carries the ball, the way that he reads the game, his movement, his constant, his distribution, both feet. Like, he's not uncomfortable to spray a ball out on his left foot. Like, he could easily be left-footed. He the way that he strikes the ball so naturally with his weak foot. It's not a trait that you see very often in players, especially centre midfielders. It's very rare that they have that.
It's that Calvin thing as well, where Calvin used to inject a bit of pace in the pass. and it just get things moving and it just open things up. And he's got that totally.
He risks it as well, Brownie. Like he backs himself. Like you so often see centre midfielders back out of making that pass because they're worried about giving the ball away. Ampadu backs himself and plays it into that area. I mean, we desperately still need a number 9 that can really live and breathe his balls, because you've seen so much in the few games that he's played. He will deliver them passes. He will make them happen. He's almost like he's got the vision of a number 10 from a bit deeper. He couldn't play number 10, but you know what I mean? He's got the vision of the pass to spot it through the gaps.
Yeah, absolutely. That midfield, that central midfield, because it looks like it might be, I don't know, like a double pivot or something in a number 10. I mean, if you keep Adams and you've got Ampadu and you've got Gray, and then maybe you've got even Shackleton, JB, bit of depth there, bit of quality, bit of experience. Are you happy with that as a kind of central midfield and what's covered? Because for me, I think Gray is a bit of a special thing here. He's not someone you expected really at the start of the window, but looking at his performances, and Farke seems to like him.
I'm not against it.
What would you? I mean, would you be happy with that as a central midfield if it's and that's what you're getting going forward? Do you think that's enough?
It'd be one of the areas of the team that I'd be worried about. I think we're missing a 10. If you put in together the centre midfield role with the 10, I don't think we really have a 10. I think we're shoehorning a winger into that position at the moment in the shape of Cine or Somerville. We've both kind of had a go there. Poveda conversation. I think Poveda is probably the most natural of them 3 in the central position. But we don't know whether he's good enough or his attitude's right or not. He's another conversation altogether, I think, is Poveda. But yeah, if we keep Adams, then the ones that you just listed there, I would be content. I still think we could improve it fairly easy with another one.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed to have not seen more of Lewis Bate. I thought he would have probably staked a bit more of a claim for being able to be in this squad, but looks like he's going to go out on loan again, which I'm a bit disappointed in because I like him.
I'd forgotten about Bate. He was so impressive in there against Manchester United in that friendly. I'm a little bit disappointed we're not seeing more of him, to be honest.
I like him. So, but then how many do you keep? That's the question that is then going to stifle his progression because he's not going to play. So I think, I do think Sunday, and I don't know if you planned like a team lineup for Sunday, but I do think we'll start with Gray and Ampadu, and it excites me and makes me nervous all at the same time because, Ampadu is a bit of a leader, but he's still only 22 and it's a big, bag to carry. He's going out in Ellen Road in front of 36,000 on Sunday against Cardiff and leading that midfield with Archie Gray alongside you for would it be his first league start? I think it would.
So. Yeah.
I don't think he started a league game. So, it'd be big boots to fill that. But yeah, I would really like a midfield 2 personally of Adams and Ampadu. I think it'd give Ampadu a license to do a bit more going forward, and Adams would be that kind of one that'd sit in.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, are you happy that Cresswell signed his new contract? Absolutely, yeah. England under 21, bags of potential, real leader, future captain, all that good stuff. James. Sorry, I don't want to cut off the topic, but as I said at the start of the show with regards to Cresswell, if we'd have signed him from someone else this summer, we'd be absolutely buzzing. Yeah. Season of Championship football did really, really well last season. England under 21 at national, he's a player, man. He's an absolute player. Who you play him alongside? That's maybe the question. Yeah. Absolutely. And Daniel James is looking good again. It's funny because which friendly was it? I think it was the one Monaco, maybe. And I was watching Dan James. I was just like, oh, God, this guy is just this, decision making, blah blah blah. And then Forest, and against that, he was on it. He was looking threatening. He was looking really up for it. And I mean, he could do special things this season. He's my dark horse for player of the season. Do you know what? And it's funny. It's exactly like you said at the start of this conversation as well. It's amazing how those poor seasons we had, or that really bad 18 months we had, culminate in relegation, how much it sours your opinion of players. And actually, under a different regime, you can achieve different things. I mean, there might even be a way back for Meslier. You never know. I know we've got Darlow now, but
Brownie, you know, on Dan James, right? Like, what has Dan James ever done wrong for Leeds United? You know, under Bielsa, he was forced to play as a 9. You're talking about a 5'5" winger, yeah, whose main attributes are burning speed. Yeah, he's never been a finisher. He was forced to play up front because of the lack of options that Bielsa, the club, whoever were to blame, was given as a number 9. He was forced to play there, and then he came in for the start of the season under Marsh and played really well early on. I think he started all them games that we won right at the beginning of the season. Yeah. And then got shipped out on deadline day for what? Bizarre. Like, it made no sense. Poor lad got shipped off down to London when he clearly wanted to play for Leeds United. And, you know, he's now come back. Like, for me, anybody that's got an axe to grind with Dan James needs to, you know, hold a bit of perspective in the situation, because he's never even played in his proper position for Leeds United. Never.
No, I think
so. I'm all for him, mate.
That's a good point. A couple of questions here. Disabled team. I've been disappointed with Gelhardt and Kevin also. Gelhardt has been disappointing for Sunderland and need to impress. Yeah, I've got to say I've not been impressed with Gelhardt in pre-season at all. He looked sharp, I think, against Manchester United when he came on, and he moved the ball pretty well. But I mean, I don't know what it is about Gelhardt, because I look at him and go, he's got so much talent, and he's one of those players. He's kind of an exciting player, and he's all about bursting here, there, and everywhere. But it just doesn't affect games at all. He has no impact on games at all. I look at what Pervader's done in as much time, probably in pre-season, and it's like night and day. I mean, Gelhardt, for me, I'm getting worried about where he's actually going to fit into this squad, and if he's even got a future with us at this point. I know that's a bit dramatic to say, but you come on, you've got to take your opportunity. You know, we've got to see that potential fulfilled a bit now. You know,
I think the problem with Gelhardt is we still don't really know his position, and all of his attributes he is just okay at. Like, he's not got blistering speed, he's not got blistering skill. He's not got blistering strength. He's not got blistering, technical, but nothing stands out. Like, whereas Pervader, you might say Pervader's got really, he's really good. He's got skills or whatever, or Somerville's got blistering speed. He's not got any of them components in abundance. So what it does is it makes him really difficult to slot in. He can't play out wide because he hasn't got the pace to take him down the wing and affect games in that way. It could come inside, but then he's not really got the skill and the trickery to deal with it. He's a bit bullish, but he's not got the strength to be a number 9. He's not got the pace to get in behind, so he can't play as an advanced forward. He can't play as a target man because he's not got that. So, where do you put him? And really, the only position that you can then look to is a number 10. But he's so natural at it because he's never done it, that it then makes him difficult to shoe on in there. Like, the fact that is the other players would be better equipped for it. So
it's a shame, isn't it? Because I mean, it's such an exciting prospect, and when it, that impact he had in the Premier League the first season, I think, or second season, wasn't it, where he was making those substitute appearances and late winners against Norwich, and he seemed to have that kind of talismanic vibe about him, where it was, he would come on and do something, and maybe that's what he is. They come on and do something in the last 20 minutes, but you're looking for a bit more now.
What he has got, Brownie, is he's got a predatory instinct. He's very good in and around the 6-yard box. I remember the goal that he scored against Chelsea away. I think of that. And the penalty that he won. Oh, when was that? Were it Wolves?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I disallowed against Brentford, weren't they, as well? That one.
Yeah, he's got a predatory instinct in and around the goal. And you know what? As we dominate games, well, maybe that will come more into fruition. But I always think he's going to need somebody alongside him that will do a lot of the carry work of a striker. And teams just don't play two up front nowadays. They just don't. So yeah, he's a worry for me as well. But his depth, if he's prepared to play a part, then I'm okay.
It's fine, isn't it? Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what they do against Cardiff as well. I don't know what the fitness status is for Bamford and Rutter. I presume both are no-goes for it, I think.
I would imagine we'll probably see Joseph start. That'd be my if I had to bet on it.
I'm always a little bit underwhelmed by Joseph whenever I see him. I feel like he should be this great finisher, and I mean, we never seemed to play him in the right position though. But he did get
That's
on
the
against
other thing, yeah.
Hearts and the centre forward.
He had
role,
one
and he missed
chance,
an
didn't he?
Oh, I missed it. I'm like,
I think the defender got a touch though, didn't he? Or the defender got in the eyesight of it, didn't he? I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would love it. I would love if you have a player like that comes to the fore who actually grabs his opportunity and becomes the main man. But I just like some of these players to really seize the opportunity. You know, Rutter, and I really want to see these guys actually start to get some numbers for us, because when you look at that forward line, there's barely any goals or assists. It's crazy.
You're right. I mean, even at the weekend, we're still relying on Luke Haley to score from right back.
Yeah.
It's just wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the most naturally gifted finisher at the club is probably Joseph, from what I've seen of him in the 23.
Yeah.
He's a natural finisher. But you're right. And we don't know whether, again, they're good enough for the top level of the Championship. It's still a high standard of football. Just because it's not Premier League football doesn't mean that that's not still a very, very high level of professional football. So we don't know whether they're at that. And that's why we need to go out and sign a number 9. Like a number 9 for me is the key. It's the absolute key position.
Yeah. I mean, this is... How long have we needed this? How long have we needed a new number 9 for? Patrick Bamford, I mean,
3 years.
You can't have a bigger alarm bell ringing than when he's laid on the floor, crocked again.
He knew straight away, didn't he? He knew straight away.
It's a shame because, every time I see him play, I think, oh, could he get to a level? Could it happen for him? Could it just, suddenly change? But it doesn't seem to happen. Are this board going to take heed? Are we going to get a number 9, do you think, before the transfer window ends?
I don't know. I was pretty convinced that we were. And then it's gone on and it's gone on and it's gone on. But the problem is we still need a 9. Whether we've got Bamford in the squad or not, we still need a 9. I mean, a hamstring injury, if it's a bad one, it could be out 3 or 4 months anyway.
Yeah.
So, I have to say before the end of August, we will. We have to. We have to. Whether it's Pirro or not. Polopano's come up a couple of times. I know he's been talked about on a couple of streams for a bit, and then we've had actual credible links with him this week, and he's a really, really good finisher. I think people are kind of putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5 with the fact that he's Finnish, and that makes any difference at all, and relatable to Team Up Phuket. It means nothing.
2.0.
It just suits the system. That's all, and it happens to be Finnish. He's a good player from what I know of him and what I've seen of him. I think we need to, mate. We absolutely have to sign a 9. I'd have to believe that we will get a 9 before the end of the window. We've seen that this board mean business. Yeah. What the situation is with Darlow and Meslier is really weird. Really weird. And Meslier might have always played on Sunday because Darlow signed on late Friday.
Yeah,
it might not have made sense for him to start, but he was in the squad. So if he was ready to be in the squad, he's only a goalkeeper. But if anybody could just slot in, it'd be a keeper, right? So I then find myself scratching my head and thinking, well, does this mean he signed as a number 2 with the incentive that he can fight for the number 1 spot? Or
could you believe the price?
Well, I know
400,000. It's not.
Yeah, it's a right signing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you just think, blimey, it's not. It doesn't scream, number 1, does it?
Well, the likelihood is that we've paid the rest of Darlow's contract as well. I would probably guess. That's something that as a fan you don't always see. So let's say, I don't know what Darlow would have been on, but if we paid him, I don't know, £500,000 maybe for the rest of the Newcastle contract. So let's say it were £1 million in total, the deal or whatever. It's still a bargain. It's still an absolute bargain. But I just can't believe that Darlow would have wanted to come and sit as a number 2. He must have been given some assurances that he's going to play. Because otherwise he might as well have stayed at Newcastle or taken the deal at Bournemouth that were on the table. So it just seems a weird, unless we're paying him a big wage. Maybe we're actually offering him more than Bournemouth. I don't know.
I mean, you've got a bit of an issue with Meslier, haven't you, really? Because it doesn't seem like anyone's interested. It doesn't seem like, or certainly not yet. And I can't imagine where that interest is going to come from, really. I just, maybe some European team, kind of mid-ranking European team. I don't think any elite club is going to get Illan Meslier. I really don't think any top team is going to go for Illan Meslier. I really don't see it. Is there a way back for Meslier at Leeds? Because he's good with his feet. I know we've talked about his distribution problems in the past, but again, who knows what kind of chaotic match tactics were affecting that or whatnot. I mean, is there a way back for Meslier? And if you could get him back up to a level that he was at, 2-3 years ago, I mean, what a huge asset you've got on your hands.
It comes back into the conversation we were having earlier, doesn't it, about, the management and the tactical decisions making some of these players look bad players. Before Marsh, Meslier was quite often a game changer for us. He saved us countless times. Lack of confidence in the defense in front of him, lack of belief in the manager that's asking you to do stuff, lack of belief in what, the tactical structure and all the rest of it can then result in, players looking elsewhere, the mind being elsewhere, agents start to talk, blah, 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 the rest of it. Again, these people are only human. So, we can't lay all the blame at Illan Meslier for his performances, because there was a lot going on externally that some of the better players in our team also started playing really poorly. We said before Tyler Adams got injured that he started playing poorly, if you remember. We had that conversation. So, this is laid at everybody's door. I think the problem with Meslier is that he had the interview where he says, well, yeah, if somebody wants to take me as a number one, I'm down, I'm here. Like, come on. Like, that's the problem. That's what we've got, as fans have got problems with. Is the way that some of these players are twerking towards other clubs when, show some respect. Like,
earn it here first, isn't it? Earn it here first.
That's it. That's the problem. So I think what's happened with Meslier is that I think he's kind of boxed himself out of a big move anyway. David Raya is apparently going to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
That's a wild one for about 35 million quid, and they've got Ramsdale. So that's not so. But what my point is that if Meslier had not kind of been, I'm not moving anywhere unless I'm number one, well, he could have actually probably got a move to Arsenal for 15 million. Arsenal could have saved 20 million quid, got a younger goalkeeper, and then developed him. But I think Mellier's kind of boxed himself out of that kind of move because of his comments. So tricky.
Well, he was touted for years, wasn't he? He was touted as the big
Spurs.
sale of the future, and a huge fee. He was one of the hot prospects, him and Strauch and everything like that. And obviously, it's worked out a little bit differently than
he can't even get in 21 squad for France now. He's not even the under 21s number one. And people were talking about him being in the France squad and then replacing Lloris. He's not even been played for the 21s now.
I tell you what is scary is last season, the amount of one-on-one saves he made at the start of the season, and it was incredible. The one-on-one saves were, and you think, God, like if half of those would have gone in, like we would have got rid of Marsh, and then it could have been so different. But anyways,
do you remember this? Do you remember the save that he made against Sheffield United in first season of the Premier League? I'll never forget it. It's just out of this world good against, I think it was John Lundstrom who ended up with the chance.
Unbelievable!
It was just ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Away at their place.
That's what he's about, isn't it? That is what he's about.
He's a quality goalkeeper. He's just had such lack of confidence, and I do, kind of subscribe to the fact that he had a poor defense and poor tactics in front of him. I do think his head was not in the game as well, though. He needed to be dropped way before he was taken out.
Yeah, absolutely. Disabled team. I can't see anyone paying 20 million for him at this moment in time. No, what kind of contract's he on, Meslier? Didn't he sign? Did he sign a contract a couple of years?
I think he's got another 2 years.
He's got another 2 years, so it's getting to that period,
25,
isn't it? Where it's getting to that period where you think, dear. Other things in the squad then, anything else you think it's caught your attention in the squad then, Jason, before we kind of look at Cardiff and
in terms of outgoings, I mean, I think obviously the conversations around Nonto are still rumbling on. I think he'll go, personally. He's not played at all during he has played, but he's not started at all during pre-season. It's clear something's going on. And Farke's now the third manager that's not played him. Summit's amiss. He either wants to go, which the rumblings are that he does. So I would imagine that if he doesn't get a Premier League move, Everton went cold, but then they've agreed to sell Demarai Gray to Fulham, which could open up the funds to maybe take Nonto. Demarai Gray, I can imagine, probably will fetch maybe 15 million, something like that. He's moving a lot as Demarai Gray, but if it makes sense, and then they bring in Nonto, if a Premier League move doesn't materialise, I can see him going over to Serie A. I just don't see him being here. Links with Napoli came out over the last couple of days. So I can see him going there. And I think one of the other three will move as well. Somerville, Sinisterra, or Harrison.
Yeah.
I think. And then I think that'll be probably the last of the outgoings because there ain't many. Oh, and Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams may well move on as well. Yeah, I think it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of moving parts. I think if Chelsea sign Caicedo, Brighton could well come for Tyler Adams. I think if they don't sign Caicedo, Chelsea might go for Tyler Adams.
Well, yeah,
I can see
come out, hasn't it, Chelsea today?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
The thing is that 20 million quid for some of these teams, it's a no-brainer because they're still going to fetch that for him. If it don't work out, they'll sell him on somewhere else. He's 23, he's USA's captain. It just makes sense. It's a no-brainer. So I would struggle. Again, it depends on how fit he is.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, is this the same injury he had at the end of last season? Or
it's the same hamstring injury, apparently, which is
it's
bad.
Getting to a point where
5 months.
Thinking, actually, is he going to? What level is he going to be at for to even come back in terms of this year? Maybe if it rumbles on into September, October, it could be real tricky for him, couldn't it?
Hamstrings are a real problem. Disabled team puts there. I don't mind if Nonto goes. I feel like that about all of them. If I'm honest, there isn't anybody that I would be like, oh, I'm gutted to see him go. And I include Tyler Adams in that anyway because we've not had him now for 6 months anyway.
If Archie Gray went, I'd be gutted then.
Sure, I mean Archie, Charlie, I would probably, but you get my point in terms of the team.
I know what you mean in terms of
Sinisterra would be the worst.
Yeah,
I'd be most disappointed about because I've kind of convinced myself that we can keep him now.
Yeah.
And I just think he'd be so much fun to watch in the Championship while he plays. He'll just be so much fun. But yeah, there ain't, and I think Sinisterra as well also last season never disappointed himself.
No.
He doesn't want to be injured. Like no player wants to be injured. And every time he played, he influenced the game severely. Like, so for me, like he include not being disappointed because I think not, and what do you expect as a kid? But I think even he went so far off the boil last season. He's clearly got a bit of an attitude going around him. We've seen how he reacted when he got subbed off. Like he was very much a case of it's about me, and I get that, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You want a little bit of arrogance as a top player. I get it. I absolutely get it. But am I going to be heartbroken if he goes? No, not really. Yeah, no. So
I know what you mean. It's hard to. It's like when Rafinha went. It was like, but you kind of accepted it, knew it, but it was still like, God, I'm going to miss seeing that guy play for Leeds. Byram getting a 1-year deal.
Is it true? Because I look around for.
It's not confirmed, is it? It's not confirmed. I know it's on a few accounts spinning around, but I mean, I can't see why not. To be honest, I mean, I'd be happy with that. To be honest, Leeds, lad.
Maybe they didn't want to announce it the same day as Charlie. Maybe that'll come tomorrow. Maybe, but yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think in pre-season he's shown himself to be, real ample,
proper player.
A proper player. Yeah,
I said to you, like when you watch Junior Firpo play versus Byram looks like a proper footballer. The way he moves and everything. It's just, it's different.
I just can't believe you still have people defend Junior Firpo. We're going to end up stuck with him because of his injuries as well. Like I forgot about him, if I'm honest. For me, like it's the worst. He is the worst player we've ever seen play Premier League football for Leeds United. I'm telling you, in terms of technical ability. And his attitude and his decision making. I mean, his decision making is up there with the worst I've ever seen for Leeds, ever, including League One. Like, I'm being deadly serious, mate. Yeah. He's that bad. Going forward, he's okay. Yeah, okay. Like, he's not good. Like, let's not kid ourselves. He's okay. He's so bad. I cannot believe Bielsa signed off on him. He's that bad. But reputation does a lot, doesn't it? The La Liga's a different league altogether. Wing backs and the way that they play and stuff. He's so bad. And like I said, he's always good for a yellow card. He's just he's just terrible. Just a terrible player.
Isn't it? Absolutely atrocious.
Getting back to the important point, Byram. He can play out and out left back now. It looks like he's become very comfortable playing as an inverted fullback. He can fill in at right back if Browne or Ayling get injured. I just hope that we sign another left back, but I don't think we will. I think it'll be Byram, Hjelde, and Firpo when he returns. And hopefully Byram makes it his own. The problem with Byram is you're adding another flight risk to an already situation full of injuries. Firpo's always injured. Yelder's probably not ready to be playing top 6 championship football. And then Byram gets injured a lot. I mean, since he left 7 years ago, he's played 80 games. That's wild. He's played less than 50%. Less than 50% of the available games he has played due to injury. So over 50% of the games that he was available for, he's not been available for selection because of injury for West Ham and Norwich. So
it's funny, isn't it? Because when we looked at him pre-season as well, he looks kind of light on his feet and he looks sharp and fighting for the deal. Maybe, I don't know, but you can't bet on someone like that, can you? Really? And
1 year deal, low terms. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Hjelde's an interesting one. He could grow into that role, I suppose. I saw him a couple of games ago. I thought no, but then I'm thinking, maybe he could grow into that role. But like you say, is he ready for top 6 championship? It's different story.
The thing is with the Farke system is that one of the fullbacks scores and one of them doesn't, and it looks to me as if Browne and Ayling are going to be the attacking width, and then the left back is going to be expected to sit a bit deeper and play a bit more of a defensive role, which both Byram and especially Hjelde are pretty good at. I think their deficiencies, especially for Byram not being left-footed, their deficiencies come from not being able to take it down the wing and whipping crosses, but they're not going to be expected to do that. So I'm okay with it. Like, you're not going to have top 2 players or, automatic promotion players in every single position in the team. It's not possible. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I hope it works out for Byram. He's a Leeds lad. Like, I have fond memories of Byram coming through. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, well, let's before we wrap up, let's have a look at the Cardiff game going forward. Then Cardiff, they had a 5th and an 8th place finish in the Championship, after they got relegated from the Premier League. But the wheels have fallen off completely at Cardiff and narrowly escaped relegation last season, I think, thanks to Reading's points deduction in the end. They've got former Fenerbahce manager Errol Bulut. He's in. I mean,
they're still under an embargo as well.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like quite a gentle start for it. I know it's Cardiff, so you've always got that aspect to it, but it's at Ellen Road. What do you think? How do you see this one going, Jason?
Have you seen that we've been linked with Cabba, who played for them last season, by the way?
Oh, no, I've not actually.
I've got a few Welsh friends. I've got a friend coming up this weekend, actually, who's a big Cardiff fan, who's going to the game. And he's staying with me the night before. So we obviously got a bit of banter and stuff. And he rates him really highly. He signed for them in January on loan for the rest of the season. I think he scored something like 8 in 18, something like that. Bear in mind, in a team that nearly got relegated. But he's a bit of a bag of tricks, apparently. Don't know a lot about him, but we've been linked with him. We were linked with him about a month ago, and then it's come back up again yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see if it comes through. So getting back to your question, it's hard to know exactly what to expect in it, Brownie, because we've only seen a couple of pre-season games, and we don't even know what the team's going to be. We have an idea, but we don't know who's going to play in goal. We don't know who's going to play centre back. We don't know who's going to play left back. We don't know who's going to play centre midfield alongside Ampadu. We don't know who's going to play 10, and we don't know who's going to play number 9. So that's 7 or 8 positions out of the 11 that we can't even really fully predict. So it's really hard to know. And I've been a bit ignorant to the Championship for a couple of years because it's not a division I would work in from a scouting perspective, and from a Premier League perspective, we were in there, and I didn't really want to know about it.
Not about the Championship,
But if we're hoping realistically to have any expectations of finishing top 6, because that's where I think we need to short-term be aiming for, we have to win these games. And I know it's first game of the season, but we have to be winning those home games against teams that are probably going to flirt with relegation. Cardiff have got a transfer embargo. They can sign free transfers and loans, I'm led to believe. They've signed Aaron Ramsey. So he's gone back there, so they'll be buoyed by that. But apart from that, they don't have very much. They've been linked with Kiefer Moore on loan this week, but they don't really have a natural number 9. Cabby played there last season. They've not replaced him. So I think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle this season. So I would be hopeful that we'll get a win. But it's first game of the season, and it's tough because so much can happen. But if we can show a little bit about what we've set up in pre-season, confident that we could get a 2 or 3-1 win would be my gut feeling.
Yeah, and then it all starts again then, doesn't it? The bandwagon starts rolling and we're getting a bit excited. But I'm worried about who's going to score the goals, though. I am worried about where that's going to come from, and I hope that we still do something. But it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, if you had to pick your top 2 who are going up automatic, who are you saying, Jess?
I think Southampton will win the league. Southampton will win the league. Russell Martin's gonna have some challenges, but I just think they've got the best squad overall. I think Lavia will go, but I think they'll keep enough of what they'll. I think Ward-Prowse will stay because I don't think nobody will.
Yeah,
I don't think he's good enough. I've said this before, and people will shoot me for it. But take his set pieces out. He's a bog standard midfielder. I don't even know if he's a top Premier League midfielder. I just don't think he's that good. Whereas I think Lavia, he's got so much potential. I think he'll end up being picked up by Liverpool this week. I think he'll go. I think Southampton will win the league. I'm not sold on Leicester because you look at their team on paper. I think they've got a lot of gaps. I've heard that Cody's now injured as well. I think they've just signed him and he's out for a bit. And Maresca, we don't know what we're going to get from him. At least Russell Martin's shown that his style of football works with a team that's not as capable in the Championship. So, I wouldn't be sold on Leicester. And I think everybody else is going to take a little bit of time to kind of understand exactly what they can bring to the party. I think Carrick will have some challenges this season with Middlesbrough. Spoke in the group the other day. I think... It'll be interesting. I could be completely wrong, but they've lost Cameron Archer and Chupa Akpom. I don't think he's starting the season with them. I could be wrong. Who were their 2 main players last season? Yeah. And now that the newness has worn off, how's Carrick going to build into a second season? I can just see them struggling a little bit. I'm hopeful that one of the top 2 spots will be us, mate. But it's hard to say it with any real optimism right now because we don't know exactly what it's going to. Ask me at the end of August, because I think we know where the squad's going to be. Yeah, I mean, Fergal's just put there about Leicester losing a lot of players. They've lost a lot of players. Talking about like us loaning players out all over the place. At least we've kept their value on paper. Leicester, aside from selling Maddison and Barnes, and there were a lot of money between the 2 of them. If you split them out between all of their sales, this summer, all of their outgoings, they've lost like 6 first-team players on free transfers. Soyuncu, Tielemans. I mean, Tielemans is a 40
brutal, isn't it? Brutal to lose them on a free.
Yeah. Amati is gone. There's a couple of others as well that they've lost a number of players on free transfers. So, I think they've had a really bad window.
It's been quite a slow transfer market generally across the Championship, hasn't it? It's not been.
Yeah, it has.
I think it's almost like football's wising up to the financial constraints a little bit, isn't it? And people getting priced out and things.
The Championship's brutal. The Championship in terms of FFP is brutal. We've seen 2 separate points deductions over the last couple of seasons. Reading ended up getting relegated because of one of them. So they don't mess around. They work off a bit of a different rule set to the Premier League. I think it's called Profit and Sustainability or something like that, and it's FFP in the Premier League. So, they spoke about, I've seen a lot of people speak about, Villa just sent 8 balls to the walls, and so did another team in the Championship. I can't remember. But then Villa was so lucky, and then Sheffield Wednesday and Derby did the opposite, and both ended up getting bombed into the league, into League One. So you can't mess around with them. The Football League, it makes...
With our commercial revenue, though, we shouldn't have any problems, should we?
We shouldn't.
In terms of putting things together, we should.
Thankfully, we've got parachute payments. The problem, the offset comes with it because we've carried Premier League wages. And because we've not recouped too much in terms of value, because none of the players that we've signed have then gone on to be worth more than the expected value, it means that we're kind of anything we're doing right now is breaking even almost.
Yeah.
Like, that's why selling Nonto makes a lot of sense, because we bought him for £5 million and we're likely to get 20-25 million for him. So it'll look really good on FFP.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we can straddle that line pretty well and just get back up to the Premier League. That's all we want, isn't it, really? Just get back up to the Premier League and do it right next time. If it happens, do it right. I mean,
I think we will do it right.
Yeah, I can't face the wilderness years again, Jason. I can't. I can't do the wilderness of the Championship again for 15 years or something. Please, I'll be an old man by then. Jeez,
we'll be over ill, mate.
Pension by the time bloody Leeds get promoted again. But hopefully, it's going to be the start of the road back.
What do you think? I've got another question before we do kind of round up. But same question back to you. Where do you think or who do you think will take the top two?
Good question. I think one of Leicester or Southampton certainly get it. I want to say us. I want to say Leeds. I really do.
Is that just the rah inside you?
Yeah, I think so. I just feel that getting Farke. I feel like Farke's our biggest asset, basically.
I really believe in it.
I really feel like we made such a good decision there, a sensible decision, and it all points to where. But it's never as easy as that. I just think, I think definitely Leicester or Southampton going up, and I'm hoping we get the other spot.
Truly, but and I mean this with chest. Yeah, I think we've got the best manager.
Yeah,
I think we've got the best player in Sinisterra, and I think we've made the best signing in Ampadu. So when you think of them three, and I mean that, like I'm trying to say that without bias. I like to believe that I look at everything objectively. I truly believe them three things. So when you think about that, as long as it looks like that come the end of August, then it's got to give you optimism. I mean, I can see Sinisterra, forgetting about the signing of a striker, I can see him scoring 15 or 20 himself.
Yeah.
Like in this league. Like he scores a lot of goals anyway from the wing. He's going to absolutely rip some of these defenders apart. So, I with that in mind, I am optimistic. I just think we've got so many gaps. That's my problem. I think we're going to create so many chances and not have somebody to finish them. And I think the number 10 role is a real problem in this side. But we'll only know. Time will only tell whether one of the boys that is in there at the moment can fill that role.
Can step in. I know some people say about Archie Gray, stick him up a bit further higher up the pitch.
Not for me.
No, I know you
mean. He's an 8 or a
deep.
6.
Yeah, a bit deeper.
For me.
Jason, anything else you'd like to cover, mate, before we depart?
Yeah. Do you think we'll make any signings before Sunday? So I think we'll sign. I think we'll sign Byram. I think Byram will be signed.
Byram,
I would imagine that it'll start, but you don't think that we'll make any other signings this week?
No, I think I don't think we'll make any signings. I think we'll be waiting for other moves, outgoings potentially before we do something else. I don't see it. No, do you see us doing anything? I
think Nat Phillips comes over the line this week.
Oh well, yes. Well, actually, yes. That could get into place because that went quiet, didn't it?
Yeah,
now it seems to have picked up movement again since Verba went. So
I just see that, man.
Yeah, that could be done. We would be happy with that, wouldn't we? We'd be happy with that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd be happy with Howard Bellis, but I just don't see it happening. I know that's been a kind of link that's come out this week, but I just don't see it happening. If we're prepared to pay 15 million quid for him, why won't Burnley go and pay 15 million for him? Or Sheffield United? I mean, I don't know how much. I don't think Sheffield United have got the capabilities to do that right now, but Burnley certainly do. Everton. Like, why won't somebody in the Premier League go and buy him? So I just don't see it happening. But yeah, I'd be more than happy with Nat Phillips. I think, like, if I could do anything right now, I'd sign a centre back, a number 10, and a 9. Yeah. Like, if there was no more that could be done, and I'd be happy to see, as a consequence of that, for Tyler and Nonto to go. I would. I think we would. If Tyler does go, I think we would then need another centre.
You'd need another.
Yeah. But I'd rather go light between Shackleton, Ampadu, JB, and Gray than not have a 10 and a 9.
Yeah.
because I think they're so vital.
Yeah, there's nobody at that number 10 role. There's nobody there. I mean, I know Pervader's look bright, but he's a winger, isn't he? And you're asking a lot, aren't you? You know, you
can't trust him.
You can't trust him. No, you can't.
He needs to prove over a few months where we've still got a solid option that he's about it. He's clearly got talent. He's clearly got bags of talent.
Got it, hasn't he? Technically, he's good.
God, but, against Forest, he stood up. I can't remember who we were up against, but he stood him up and took him to the byline. He had him on toast. He were all over him.
It was great, wasn't it? Yeah, it was exciting. But
he's had a big injury as well. You know, he had an ACL reconstruction 12 months ago. So he's clearly got a bit of attitude, because to come back from that injury is hard work enough as it is. I know, I've done 2 of them. So he's clearly got a little bit about him. But I think Farke's nailed it with the way that he's dealt with him. Don't get carried away. I love Farke's honesty. And it's not just the sake of saying something either. It's with real intent. You know, whether it be talking about promotion, whether it be talking about the transfer window, he's been so open and honest, and I love it. And he's done the same with Pervader. He's been like, fine, he's played well for 2 portions of 2 pre-season games, but this lad needs to show it, and he's not done enough yet to convince anybody that he's going to be a main man, but he's done enough to be part of the squad at the moment. I love that. Rightly so.
I agree. What's I don't know why I'm even thinking this in my head. My one fear with Farke is it like Javi Gracia 2.0? Why would I even worry about that? In terms of trying to get us more possession based, and it's a bit soft spoken and a bit kind of like that.
I know what you're saying. Because the instant reaction that we had at Gracia was positive on it. But I think this is a bigger term project. I think we've ripped the root out of the problem. That's why I don't think we should get upset about these players leaving in any way, shape, or form. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I become convinced with the fact that the loan clauses were such a problem in these players signing and being expected to really care as much as we needed them to. You know, that's why you see the Burnley team that for years and years under Dyche were crap. They still managed to fight their way over the line because they fought for it tooth and nail, because their Premier League lives, their top flight lives were on the line every week. Our players didn't have that, because they had a nice, juicy, get out of jail free card where they could earn the same money again for a year. And then if Leeds don't go, we'll find a deal.
I think that's an amazing point. I think that was a huge problem when you look at that now.
The amount of mentality problem that causes. I've seen this for years and years, right? So when I used to work in retail sales, I'm going off on a tangent a little bit here. But when I used to work in retail sales, if you ever put a salesperson on a guarantee, so they could earn 60 grand a year through their commission, right, as an example. But if you put them on a 60k a year guarantee, so they didn't have to sell anything, what do you think happened to their performances? It went through the floor, because they were earning the same money. They didn't care. They didn't need to work as hard to get that money, because they were still getting paid it anyway. And that's the same goes in this situation, I think. I don't think people can understand enough. And that's why it was such bad management by the club to think that was a good idea. Ridiculous.
I mean, well, this is why everyone's lampooning Verber as well, because it just looks so pathetic to sign for a club in January and give it the big one about side before self and all this, and then come out in an interview or whatever it was, you know, just a couple of weeks ago, where I'm committed, and then to move clubs and then to say you're a warrior and you're a fighter. I mean, it's just ludicrous. I mean, imagine Matthias Click for his little laughy emoticon on, because it's just so.
Brownie, imagine thinking that the football fans are so naive to think that he's left because he needs to keep his Austria place. Come on. Anders Weimann played for Austria for years while playing his whole career in the Championship. Yeah. Verber's been Austria's captain. So him playing at the top end of the Championship for a season would make zilch difference to whether he would be playing in that national squad or not. He would have been far better coming out. And I'm telling you, they won't ever do this because it's too risky, I guess. But he would have been so much better coming out and going, I'm leaving because I signed on 60k a week and now I'm getting 30 and I want 60. It literally would be better. He would get so much more respect. It would be like, you know what, fine. Fair play.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah. And you know what? You're probably still not welcome back in a year, but you're not welcome back anyway. He's not. So
he's
for me, he's the most disappointing of the bunch because again, just come out and say, I'm not playing in Championship, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've got a problem with that because at some point in this window, somebody from the Bundesliga were going to come in for a player like Werber. So he would have known when he said what he said that this was always a potential risk and would always potentially be attractive to him.
Well, he still had credit in the bank as well. I mean, a little bit. He had a little bit of credit in the bank from, we all thought he was such a vital player when he came in and for that first couple of months. And when he got injured, we were like, he's such a vital player for us. And then he was absolutely appalling when he came back in April and May. Didn't look quite fit, but he was terrible and didn't look good. I mean, against Spurs, just didn't look interested at all. No wonder he's got his little escape clause, hasn't he?
It's going to be interesting to see how many of them will come back and what happens with them between now and the start of next season. I mean, for me, the quicker we can sell them all, the better. I heard whispers that Mark Rocker was potentially his move was going to be made permanent, and I didn't know whether that was to potentially maybe free up another loan position. Don't know. I don't know what will happen. But for me, the quicker they can all be taken off the books, the better. I'd maybe see Brendan Aronson as an exception to that, purely because of the value that's attached to him.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to get that value back short term. So, yeah.
No, I agree with that. He's probably the only one that I would actually think, he could still salvage something there potentially. But we'll wait and see. Well, anything else, Jason, you want to cover off before we depart? Only for a couple of days, actually. We'll be back on Thursday then, won't we?
Thursday for the preview.
Check that out, guys. Please subscribe, like the video, and
come and help me, guys. Come and help me put up with the Huddersfield.
Yeah,
I live in Bradford, right? I've lived my whole life as a Leeds fan in and amongst the enemy. Done it with chest, been proud of my team and put up with it. Bradford fans, as time's gone on, they've become a little bit more accepting of Leeds. We've not played each other for a long time. Huddersfield, man, that's just so insufferable. And I know he might be watching, and I love him dearly, but man, they're just hard work. And since we've got back into the Championship, it's just brought it all back up to the surface again. So yeah, come into the stream on Thursday and help me, guys.
Yeah,
and then we'll be back on Monday, won't we? For
we will. Maybe a little post-match stream if we can figure it. If we can,
I can do something
after the Cardiff game. It would be great to get a post-matcher in there.
Yeah,
see where we're at and all that. So, looking back through some of our greatest hits, that run at the end of the Premier League, brutal. Hopefully, we won't have anything like that, but we'll be here nonetheless anyway. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate your comments, your likes, your subscribes. We will be back for a big show on Thursday previewing the West Yorkshire Football League as it does return. Huddersfield Town, Bradford City, Halifax, all the gang. We'll be back then. I've been Stephen Browne, and
come on, the boys.
Jayson Booker. Here we go. Come on, season about to start. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on Thursday, hopefully. Thank you.